Você acorda com o corpo pesado e os músculos doridos. O leve ranger das tábuas sob você, quase imperceptível no silêncio úmido do castelo feudal. O ar é denso, misturado ao cheiro rancioso de madeira envelhecida e um toque de mofo que invade suas narinas, enquanto a brisa fria acaricia a pele em um sussurro gelado. Seu manto áspero e gasto arrasta-se contra a pedra fria, sua bengala de madeira apoiando o peso trêmulo do seu corpo cego. Você sente o eco distante dos seus passos lentos pelo corredor vazio. O som irregular do seu Biwa pendurado ao lado, pronto para ser tocado a qualquer momento. Embora você não enxergue o perigo que espreita nas sombras, você percebe cada detalhe em seu entorno não com os olhos, mas com uma sensibilidade ampliada ao toque, ao som, ao cheiro. O corredor à sua volta parecia uma fera adormecida, seu alento úmido envolvendo-o com uma melancolia pesada, com uma fumaça preguiçosa que sobe de um chá esquecido. Era como tentar navegar uma cidade moderna pela memória, onde as luzes nunca acendem e os rostos nunca aparecem. Um silêncio que pesa mais que qualquer multidão ruidosa. A rotina era seu ritual, ajustar as cordas do Biwa meticulosamente. Se havia becia, todos sinais maravilhosos. Apenas com poucos elementos, o corredor parecia uma fera adormecida, seu alento úmido envolvendo-o com uma melancolia pesada, com uma fumaça preguiçosa que sobe de um chá esquecido. Era como tentar navegar uma cidade moderna pela memória, onde as luzes nunca acendem e os rostos nunca aparecem. Um silêncio que pesa mais que qualquer multidão ruidosa. A rotina era seu ritual, ajustar as cordas do Biwa meticulosamente, seu alento úmido envolvendo com uma melancolia pesada, com uma fumaça preguiçosa que sobe de um chá esquecido, dedos longe, uma companhia sussurrante que te acompanha noite adentro. Em uma dessas passagens pelo corredor, você sente a brisa se intensificar, carregando um aroma sutil e fugaz, algo vivo, talvez um sopro de folhas ou a promessa tímida do ar fresco de um jardim escondido além das muralhas frias. Um pequeno vestígio de esperança, um parêntese de calma antes da próxima sombra se desenhar próximo. O contato da bengala contra as pedras irregulares é constante, seu ritmo medido no passo cuidadoso. De repente, um som diferente, um leve crepitar no meio da escuridão. Talvez um deslocar lento e controlado, que não combina com o som das suas próprias pegadas. O ar parece mais denso nesse ponto do corredor, uma presença invisível que se aproxima, mas não avança, pronta para ser percebida, em cada sussurro do seu Biwa, em cada nó da madeira sob suas mãos. O perigo não grita. Ele se dissolve na espera infinita. Antes que a quietude se transforme em silêncio absoluto, você pausa e controla a respiração fria que corre pela pele. O toque da madeira na palma traz um mínimo conforto, uma âncora contra a vastidão da escuridão. Você sabe que o castelo, como sua melodia, é repleto de nuances e sombras que dependem da sua atenção silenciosa para serem domadas. Ei, antes que Morfeu te pegue de vez, dá uma conferida rápida se você continua inscrito. Para alguns, o botão sumiu, e eu não quero que você perca as próximas histórias para dormir. Aproveita e deixa um like macio como um travesseiro. Me conta nos comentários de onde você nos ouvi, que horas são aí. Sua interação mantém este cantinho de calma vivo. Valeu por fazer parte. You take a slow, measured breath, feeling the weight of your body press into the uneven stone beneath you. The chill that clings like a restless shadow seeps through your worn cloak and settles deep into your bones. But you welcome it. Cold anchors your awareness. Your fingers curl lightly around the smooth wood of your cane, the rough grain, worn softer by years of unwavering contact. The faint scent of damp earth and aged timber drifts past your nostrils again, tangled with a faint sweetness, an almost imperceptible strain of something living beyond these gray walls. As you lean forward, your cane taps steadily on the cold floor. The rhythm is deliberate. Each echo stretches far down the corridor, intertwining with the distant creaks of the castle settling into the night. Your hand brushes a low archway's edge, tracing the time-worn carvings smeared in dust, invisible to your eyes, but alive beneath your fingertips. You feel the subtle pocks and grooves, signs of forgotten hands and whispered secrets carved long ago. The air here thickens, warmer by a breath or two, carrying the hushed murmur of the outside world, leaves rustling unseen, life stirring beyond these stone confines. You lean into the smallest of these noises, gliding your hearing down their fragile trails. The gentle scrape of your cloak shifts softly as you adjust your balance, muscles aching yet obeying your will to move. Your hand drifts back toward your biwa, its familiar curves resting quietly against your side. Your fingers almost ache with the memory of plucking its strings, how each note slides between your thoughts like a fragile lifeline. You stroke the edge of the instrument, feeling the old varnish's faint smoothness, brittle with age. The silence that surrounds you hums heavier here, a presence not quite defined, a shadow lingering just beyond perception. The hair on your arms prickles ever so slightly, a quiet warning from your senses, sharpened by years of solitude. You start down the corridor again, each step slow, feet careful to avoid the uneven stones that threaten a stumble. The faint grit of dust underfoot grinds softly against your thick soles. Scent changes again. The stale odor of decay mingles with something green and moist, like the promise of moss clinging to shaded stones outside. It pulls lightly at the edges of your awareness, a reminder that, beyond the bleak and silent castle, life persists quietly and stubbornly. A soft tapping follows your steps, an uneven, irregular sound, not your own. Your breath catches, slow and deliberate, chest rising and falling beneath the coarse fabric of your worn tunic. You sense the shift in the air, hear the faint scrape of movement, something deliberate and slow, like itself, wary, cautious. Your hand tightens minutely on your cane, fingernails embedding in the wood just a little more. Around you, shadows seem to lean closer, folding and stretching along the walls, hollow spaces between stones, whispering secrets in a language of silence. The faint sound of dripping, water's slow escape from an unseen fissure, rhythmically fills the backdrop. You reach a narrow alcove where the air constricts, colder, more pressing. The stone walls on either side press close. The rough texture scratches your fingertips as you reach out to steady yourself. A faint pulse of dampness clings to the air here, a mix of moss, forgotten damp, and the slight metallic scent that rises from deep within these bowels. There is a scent of old leather, so faint it could be memory, or the ghost of something once held and lost. You pause, listening intently, the silence pressing in, a thin veil stretched taut. Your fingers find the cold nettle ring embedded in the stone. A latch, perhaps. It is heavy, almost camouflaged beneath layers of dust and tiny spider webs. Your hands tremble slightly, and, with painstaking care, you test the latch. It resists just enough to remind you of the weight it holds, yet yields, moving almost soundlessly. A shiver coasts down your spine as the faintest crack echoes softly, a secret opening in the castle's age-old skin. Beyond, the darkness deepens. Not an absence, but a presence, thick and suffocating, waiting like a silent sentinel. Step by slow step, you push the door wider, feeling the air change, the temperature dropping subtly, even as a faint glow flares within, not of fire, but of pale, greenish light. You sense the texture of rough stone beneath your fingers, the rough, porous surface, cold and slick with moisture. It smells faintly of earth and something else, a whisper of rot mingled with delicate, sweet blooming. Your breathing slows to a slow, steady pace, the sound of your heart, a slow drum against the quiet. A breeze stirs in this newfound chamber, barely stirring but scanning with reaching faint breaths that brush across your face and hands. You lean slightly forward, using your cane to gauge the floor's texture. Cool, uneven cobblestones, slick with moisture. The faint hum of movement, far above, mixes with the sharp trickle of water running somewhere deeper within the stone veins. Somewhere close, a fragile leaf floats down a spider's thread, kissing the floor in a near-silent landing. You realize your fingers no longer tremble quite so much. Your breathing finds a gentler rhythm. Here, in this space, the boundary between the known and the unread, the air vibrates faintly with possibility. There is something waiting for you, something held tightly in the shadows of the next step. And as you prepare to cross the threshold, a whisper echoes, barely. There, a breath lost somewhere between stone and silence. A single word that curls through the air, wrapping itself quietly around your skin. The door trembles again, as if something unseen moves just beyond your reach, in the heart of the darkness. You hesitate at the threshold, feeling the pulse of the castle's cold breath against your skin. The door's faint tremble beneath your hand lingers like a whispered warning, the air thick with quiet anticipation. Your cane taps softly, a measured drumming on the slick stones, the echo stretching and bending through the unseen corridors beyond. Each uneven footfall sinks slightly into the chilling dampness, your worn cloak rustling faintly as you take a slow, deliberate step forward. A subtle shift of air brushes your face, cool and fleeting, like the gentle brush of moth wings, barely there but unmistakable. It carries with it a faint, almost intangible scent, a mingling of earth and something floral, delicate and elusive, as if a garden hides just beyond hidden walls. It's a promise folded into the cold, a fragile thread of life, weaving through the weighty silence. Your fingers tighten instinctively around your cane's worn haft, grounding you in the present as shadows pull deeper into shapes you cannot grasp. Ahead, the faint greenish glow pulses softly. It stretches along the stone, casting muted light that flickers like ancient whispers caught in the air. The floor beneath your feet feels slick, uneven cobblestones worn smooth by untold years, each one telling a secret beneath the moisture's steady cling. Your shoes scrape gently against the stone, carrying you forward by slow degrees into the vast unknown. You pause, hand outstretched, brushing over the damp walls. The texture is rough, grainy with age, and faint veins of moss thread serpentine patterns between cracks. Every tiny ridge and hollow presses vivid impressions into your fingertips. The roughness, like aged parchment, the coolness, biting through the cloak's threadbare layers. The damp stone exhales quietly, a slow, steady breath that seems to echo your own measured inhalations. In this dim chamber, sounds emerge softly, distant and indistinct. Drips, slow and irregular, fall somewhere far off, their rhythm a hesitant heartbeat beneath the deeper silence. A faint murmuring breeze threads through gaps unseen, rustling dry leaves or perhaps loose threads of old cloth caught in shadowed corners. Cold stone, the lingering smell of old wood, and the faintest trace of something metallic, like hidden blood vessels beneath a living surface. Your fingers find once again the wooden curve of your biwa, the varnish cracked and faded, the strings loose beneath careful, gentle plucks. The melodious hum breathes quietly into the stillness, each note drifting like a delicate sigh through the chamber's thick atmosphere. It is a fragile connection, a song tethered to memory and survival, threading through the darkness like a faint, wavering lifeline. Step by slow step, you move deeper inside. The chill shifts subtly. You feel the faintest draft wafting around your neck, curling with unseen currents. The walls begin to close in, the ceilings lowering, the space growing more intimate, pressing in with a closeness that is both confinement and a strange protective embrace. The light pulses gently here, breathing unevenly, casting long, curling shadows that seem to lean towards you. Restless and watchful, there is a weight to the air, thick, almost tangible, charged with the echo of things long forgotten. Your breath catches slightly as the faintest movement brushes close, a whisper of fabric, the skitter of something small yet deliberate, vanished before it is fully seen or heard. The tension flows quietly beneath your skin, a slow drumbeat of caution, tightening the senses. You lower yourself slowly to the floor, feeling the cold stone press against your palms and knees. The moisture here is more pronounced, a slickness that cools deep into your muscles. You brush away the dust and gravel beneath you, revealing the surface of an old mosaic. Tiny pieces of faded ceramic, muted blues and greens, worn to near invisibility. It is a relic frozen beneath the weight of time, a pattern half erased, yet still alive beneath your touch. Your hand trails over something different in texture, a faint, etched indentation in the stone, a symbol or letter carved carefully, but eroded by centuries. Your fingers trace its curves again and again, memorizing the lines, your breath slow and steady. The silence closes around you like a dense fog, pressing in on every side. Yet within it, the smallest flicker of warmth kindles, a momentary reprieve from the oppressive cold. You rise with effort, each motion deliberate, muscle and bone aching with the weight of years and unseen burdens. The greenish glow suddenly flickers, then brightens as if awakening to your presence. Something stirs just beyond your senses, a breath, a shift, an exhalation deep within the castle's hidden heart. A quiet vibration travels up your cane, subtle but unmistakable, like a distant, beckoning pulse. And then, just as you prepare to move forward again, your hand brushes something unexpected, a thin thread of silk, tangled and cold against your skin. It clings to your fingers, a fragile tether unraveling slowly, leading you toward the deeper shadows. You hesitate, chest tightening, heart slower now, but no less insistent. The thread pulses lightly, a faint warmth in the cold, and while the darkness watches, you know it waits for you to follow. Beyond the threshold, the stone suddenly shudders underfoot, an unseen shift, a soft rumble that falters and fades like a secret held back. The air thickens, and the faint whisper curls once more around your senses. A single word, spoken only to the silence, a breath lost between shadow and stone. The night waits quietly, suspended, and you step forward into its depths. where everything unseen hums with the promise of what is still to come. You step forward slowly, feeling your cane tap a quiet rhythm across the slick stone beneath. Each measured click reverberates softly through the chamber's cool air, stretching out long and slow like a whispered breath. The faint greenish glow flickers again, casting pools of dim light that shift and shimmer more than you expect, as if the shadows themselves are breathing alongside you, swelling against the stone like the slow rise and fall of distant tides. Your hand brushes the damp wall, fingertips tracing the moss-laced grooves, the roughness damp with moisture that kisses your skin like the chilled mist of a hidden waterfall. The air is thick with the scent of earth, deep in winter, damp, loamy, touched with the sharpness of lingering stone coldness, and beneath everything, just beneath the surface, a faint sweetness that pricks at the edges of your senses, like the promise of new growth trapped beneath ice. That scent trails lazily, winding around your nose, drawing you further, as if the castle itself exhales a forgotten breath that stirs only when you approach. Ahead, the passage narrows, the ceiling dipping low enough to press uncomfortably on your shoulders, a wooden beam groaning softly overhead, with the slow shifting of centuries. You hesitate only briefly before bending your head carefully, the worn fabric of your cloak whispering against rough stone. Tendrils of cold air curl around your neck, slipping beneath the threadbare edges of your cloak and crawling down your spine in thin, persistent fingers of frost. Your cane's tip grinds against an uneven stone, sending a slow shudder through your palm. It anchors you as the stillness deepens around you, swallowing sound, whole except for the slow, deliberate drip of water somewhere distant. Each drop falls with a weight that presses against your chest, beating time to the tremor in your fingertips. The silence between drips stretches, infinite and dense, so much so that your own breath feels loud, measured, the rasp of it weaving through the tight space like a ghost's slow dance. In the dim haze of green, a faint shape emerges, a curve in the floor, faintly raised, forming the edge of a shallow basin carved into the stone. Your feet move cautiously toward it, heels scraping softly to steady your uncertain balance. As you lean, your fingers graze the basin's wet edge, slick with the residue of some ancient trickle, cold, smooth, yet rough with the fine grains of mineral deposits left by years of patient water passage. The surface shimmers faintly, reflecting the pale light like a fragile pool of forgotten memory. Around you, the air hums with a delicate vibration, so subtle it might be your imagination, but your skin prickles with the awareness of something just beyond touch. The wet stone exhales quietly, breath mingling with the faint rustle of a broken cobweb. drifting downward from somewhere high, an unseen thread tracing a slow path in the hovering air. Flecks of dust circle gently in the glow, lazy spirals that settle with deliberate grace. Your hand drifts back to your biwa, feeling the familiar weight against your side. The strings sigh faintly beneath your fingers, worn, stretched thin, but alive with the echo of your touch. A soft pull, a careful pluck, and a single note slips into the air, tremulous and fleeting. The sound bends gently, folding into the chamber's stillness like a whispered lullaby for the stone and moss. As the note fades, you sense a subtle shift, a cool breeze brushing past your ear, distant but deliberate, carrying with it a faint rustle of leaves, or perhaps something softer, more delicate, like the flutter of a bird's wing in an unseen garden. The chill stings your skin anew, the castle's breath sighing against your neck, coaxing you forward with its quiet insistence. Your feet move again, slow and careful, pressing further into the unknown. The narrow corridor widens slightly, the stone cold and uneven beneath you, slick with persistent moisture that clings like a second skin. The faint glow pulses rhythmically now, steady and soft, as if the light itself is breathing beside you, a living thing keeping fragile watch. The smell sharpens, a mix of old wood, wet stone, and that strange metallic tang, faint but unmistakable, threading through the air like a hidden river beneath the surface. Your heart echoes quietly in your ears, a slow, steady drum beneath the breathing walls. Somewhere far above, a low, rumbling groan stirs, a sound like shifting earth, or the subtle settling of long-buried secrets unheard for ages. You reach out, fingers brushing the wall, and your fingertips find a shallow carving, nearly erased by time. The lines whisper beneath your touch, an ancient symbol, its meaning lost, but its presence undeniable. Your palm presses flat, tracing the smooth, worn edges, breath drawing colder around you, lungs tightening with a fragile mix of awe and something unnamed. The chamber seems to hold its breath, as if waiting for the next move, the next echo to stir its silence. Suddenly, a faint vibration courses up your cane, thin, rapid, not erratic, but deliberate. A pulse unlike the slow heartbeat of the water drops. It hums beneath your palm, awakening a thread of tension that stretches taut. Within your limbs, the green glow flickers violently, shadows stretching and shrinking like restless phantoms dancing at the edge of your perception. A whisper trails across your skin, soft and nearly swallowed by the thick air, a single word curling in the darkness just beyond reach. It beckons, fragile and irresistible, weaving through the silence like smoke curling into a flame. You freeze, cane planted firmly, breath shallow but steady. Time hangs suspended as the shadows lean closer, And then, just as the light dims once more, your skin prickles with the sharpest sensation yet, the brush of something delicate, swirling just out of sight, an unseen thread drawing you deeper into the waiting dark. The corridor exhales again, slow and heavy, as the unseen presence steps nearer, silent, patient, and utterly watchful. You step forward, each measured tap of your cane marking time against the wet cobblestones. The rhythm echoes softly, stretching and bending with the cool breath of the chamber. Your fingertips glide again along the moss-woven stone, tracing the damp grooves like fragile veins pulsing with the castle's slow heartbeat. The air is heavy, a dense quiet that settles into your bones, thick with the scent of earth and faint decay, tinged with something floral yet distant, almost whispered by the shadows. The cold clings to your skin, threading beneath your cloak, wrapping you in careful stillness. Ahead, the narrow passage curves, the low ceiling pressing close, its rough wood groaning with age. You bend slowly, the fabric of your cloak whispering against the stone edges. A tendril of fragile breeze slips past your neck, faintly chilling, like a breath stolen from forgotten gardens, hidden beyond thick walls. Your cane's tip scrapes an uneven stone, a subtle jolt reverberating through your palm, steadying you as silence deepens, swallowing all but the slow, deliberate drip, drip of water falling somewhere unseen. Each drop sinks into the stillness, a muted drum shaking the quiet air. You pause, breath slow and even, listening as the faint glow ahead waxes and wanes, casting faint light stained with green. Your hand reaches out to touch the cold wall, rough and grainy beneath your fingers, flecked with moss, threading delicate patterns between tiny cracks. The stone exhales a slow, steady breath that seems to echo your own, drawing you deeper into the dimness. Somewhere distant, a faint rustle drifts, a whisper of fabric or leaves, brushing unseen surfaces, and the air tastes cold, mingling the ancient scent of wood and stone with something metallic, sharp and taut. Your hand returns to the Biwa, resting lightly against your side. Familiar curves, worn varnish cracked and dry, strings weakened under gentle plucks that send a fragile note drifting, barely stirring the thick air. The sound threads through the chamber, a tender sigh tethered to memory and survival. You draw the note out slowly, letting it settle before releasing it to the silence. A sudden brush of cooler air caresses your ear, delicate and fleeting. It carries a faint, almost hesitating sound, perhaps a flutter of wing or rustle of leaves, so soft that it escapes full detection, yet imprints itself on your skin like a secret promise. The chill sharpens, pressing anew along your neck and spine, and the walls seem to lean in closer, shadows curling and flickering in unison with the pulse of the faint light. Your feet move forward again, slow and cautious, scraping along slick stones patched with moisture, so thick it clings like a second skin. The glow breathes now with a steady rhythm, casting long, curling shadows that sway gently, restless beneath the castle's watchful gaze. The scent intensifies, damp earth, wet wood, and that elusive metallic tang winding like a thin river beneath layers of stone and silence. Your heart echoes a slow, deep drum within your chest as distant groans ripple through the walls. Soft murmurs of ancient stones settling after centuries of waiting. Your hand grazes the wall again, fingertips discovering a shallow carving almost lost to time. Faint lines curve beneath your touch, an old symbol speaking silently in patterns worn smooth by countless years. Your palm spreads flat, memorizing the faded contours as a cold breath presses tightly in your lungs, a fragile mix of awe and unease settling beneath your ribs. The chamber's hush deepens, heavy and expectant, holding the space between past and present, waiting for the next movement, the next breath. Suddenly, a thin vibration pulses up your cane, a delicate tremor, rhythmic and steady, unlike the slow heartbeat of water drops. The green glow flickers sharply, shadows stretching and shrinking in restless dances just beyond your vision. The air tightens, charged and humming with quiet tension. A single whisper curls across your skin, almost swallowed by thick around your senses like smoke unfurling toward a flame. You freeze, planting your cane firmly, breath held steady but shallow. Time hangs suspended as the shadows lean toward you, waiting, and then, beneath your palm, the sharpest sensation yet, a subtle caress, light and swirling just beyond sight, a delicate thread inviting you deeper into the black. The floor shifts ever so slightly beneath your feet, a quiet tremor holding its breath like a secret withheld. The chamber exhales, thick and slow, a heavy pulse vibrating through stone walls as that unseen presence draws closer, silent, deliberate, and endlessly watchful. Your fingers tighten grip on your cane's worn handle, heart steady though muscles tense, preparing to step into the unknown beyond the fragile, flickering glow. And then just as your foot lifts to meet another cold step forward, the faint green light pulses once more, brighter, urgent, as if awakening from a long dream, casting new shadows that ripple along the walls, alive and waiting for what lies just around the bend. You press your palm firmly against the cold doorframe, feeling the faint tremble of the old stone beneath your fingers. The greenish light flickers once more, casting uneven pools of shadow that dance silently around you. Each slow breath fills your lungs with the chill air, heavy with the scent of damp moss and a faint tang of rust that lingers like a whispered warning. The steady tap of your cane marks your deliberate steps forward, its dull thud quickly swallowed by the cavernous silence. You lean into the rhythm, the measured sound anchoring you. As the walls close in slightly, the ceiling dipping lower into a wooden rib pressed tight with age. Your fingertips slide along the rough stone, tracing delicate veining of moss that winds serpentine between the cracks. The surface is slick beneath your touch, cold moisture pressing through the porous rock like a secret shared in silence. Around you, the faint drip of water punctuates the quiet, a slow, unpredictable pulse that seems to echo your own heartbeat. Slow and steady, pressing deeply beneath your ribs. Somewhere just beyond reach, a faint rustling stirs, a whisper of fabric, or perhaps leaves scraping softly along a hidden floor. The tension curls around you like smoke, thick and patient. A soft brush of air grazes your neck, delicate yet insistent. It carries with it a hint of something floral and fleeting, like a petal caught on a breeze long forgotten, tangled with the sharp scent of wet earth. Your fingers tighten subtly around your cane, grounding yourself against the creeping chill that coils along your spine. The shadows tilt closer, folding along the walls with restless grace, as if bearing silent witness to the slow passage of time. Your breath comes in quiet gusts beneath the threadbare fabric of your cloak. Cold mist rolling softly into the vacant spaces between stone and flesh. Step by careful step, your feet glide over uneven cobblestones, slick with years of moisture and decay. The cold dampness pressing like a second skin. The glow pulses again, steady and resigned, weaving a fragile dance of light and dark that breathes with the slow pulse of the chamber. Your hand returns to the familiar curve of your Biwa's neck. The old varnish is cracked, its surface faintly rough beneath your fingertips. Yet the instrument holds a fragile warmth, a tether to fading memories and distant melodies. Your strings moan quietly under tentative plucks, notes slipping through the stillness like fragile sighs. The sound weaves a fragile thread, fragile enough to unravel in the standing darkness, yet comforting, a slow breath amidst the vast silence. Just beyond the reach of your hearing, the air shifts again, cool and deliberate, threading in a new scent, something metallic, sharp and latent, like unspoken promises buried deep beneath stone and shadow. Your heart stirs a quiet rhythm within your chest, its echo a slow drumbeat beneath the still walls. Far above, the groan of settling earth murmurs through unseen cracks, a soft threat woven into the silence. Fingertips find a shallow carving embedded in the damp stone, the faint lines almost erased by time's endless flow. You trace the worn contours repeatedly, each touch a small communion with a past forgotten but not lost. The chamber breathes slowly around you, a dense fog pressing on your skin, condensing with the weight of years. Within that stillness, a tiny warmth flickers, a brief flash of hope glowing beneath the oppressive cold. Abruptly, a vibration tickles your palm, a subtle pulse humming along the wood of your cane. It is steady, deliberate, unlike the slow tapping of distant water. The green light flares uncertainly, stretching shadows that shiver and twist like restless phantoms caught in the lantern. Above your senses, a soft whisper curls along the air, a single word evaporating just beyond understanding, curling and twisting like smoke toward an unseen flame. Your body freezes, breath drawn silent as the shadows lean in, stretching toward you in patient suspense. Then, beneath your touch, the sharpest sensation yet, a whisper soft and swirling like silk threads twisting just beyond sight, drawing you gently into the deeper dark. The stone floor shivers beneath your weight, a slow tremor that hums with withheld secrets before fading into stillness. The air around you thickens, dense and slow, carrying the deep, steady pulse of the castle's hidden heart. The unseen presence moves quietly closer, silent and watchful, poised upon the fragile edge between past and present, light and shadow. Your hand tightens on the worn handle, a fragile anchor to a world slipping quietly away. And just as your foot lifts to take another measured step forward, the faint glow pulses sharp and urgent, brighter now, insistent, awakening from a long slumber. Shadows ripple and curl with new life, revealing subtle shapes, shifting just beyond reach. Somewhere within that wavering light, you hear it again, a breath, a voice half carried by stone and air, a promise folded gently in the darkness. The quiet chamber waits, holding its breath, as you cross the threshold into the unknown, where every whispered secret lingers in the cold, waiting for the dawn that might never come. You step deeper into the chamber, each footfall slow and deliberate, the wet stones pressing cool beneath your worn soles. The faint green glow pulses softly along the moss-veined walls, casting shadows that ripple like breath caught in ancient lungs. Your cane taps a measured rhythm that stretches through the silence, meeting the murmurs of dripping water that echo distantly, a quiet heartbeat of the castle's endless sleep. The air clings heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and forgotten wood, touched faintly by the acidity of something metallic lingering just beneath the surface. You lean forward slightly, fingertips tracing the rough stone, cold yet alive with age. Moss curls gently beneath your touch, soft and damp, like velvet left in dark forests. The surface hums an ancient song, something half-remembered, folded into the marrow of the walls. Your breath mingles with the stillness, each inhale sharp and slow, tasting the chill that clings like a secret. Your fingers find the curve of your biwa, its old varnish rough and cracked. You pluck a string gently, a single note slipping quietly into the chamber's thick hush, threading a fragile echo that fills the space with trembling lightness. The sound seems to wake the shadows, making them stir and lean closer, curling in restless waves, as if drawn toward the fragile thread of melody grasping at the gloom. A sudden cool breath brushes your neck, fleeting and tender. You turn your head slowly, the motion cautious, sensing more than seeing. The stone presses close on all sides, the narrow passage bending with a gradual descent, the ceiling low and burdened with the weight of centuries. Your cloak whispers softly against the uneven walls, the fabric humming with memory as it shifts under your careful steps. A faint rustle reaches your ears, delicate and composed, like the sigh of dried leaves stirred by a slow wind. You hold your breath, listening. Something slides just beyond the edge of hearing, a movement gentle and deliberate, as if the castle itself breathes close beside you. The damp air tastes bitter and cold, with a whisper of sweetness folded deep within, an old promise pressed between the stones. You reach out once more, fingertips tracing a narrow arch where the stone is etched with faint carvings. The cool, grainy texture speaks of hands long gone, their stories etched in curves and lines, pressed beneath layers of dust and time. You stroke the marks slowly, sensing the weight of forgotten words held quietly beneath your palms. The shadows cling tighter here, folding into themselves, waiting with patience that feels almost sentient. Your hand retreats to your cane, the wood worn smooth, steadying your balance as you step carefully forward. The floor beneath feels slick, cold moisture pressed into every crevice, demanding your attention at every movement. Drip, drip, drops fall somewhere distant, their slow, irregular rhythm weaving a solemn chant through the chamber's fabric. A flicker of warmth brushes your skin, subtle as a forgotten touch, before the cold returns with sharper insistence. The green light around you pulses faintly, breathes like a living thing breathing beneath the castle's skin, casting long, wavering shadows that stretch and curl toward your presence. Your heart beats a steady, low pulse, each thump a tether anchoring you to this fragile moment suspended between past and future. You crouch, hands brushing against the cold stone, revealing more of the mosaic beneath your fingertips. The tiny ceramic fragments shimmer faintly despite the decay. Blues and greens, muted by centuries, yet alive with the shimmer of rain-soaked leaves. Your fingers trace the cracked edges, feeling the uneven rise and dip beneath your palms like a story frozen mid-whisper. The dampness here carries the scent of moss and earth freshly turned, sharp and sweet in the cold air. A subtle vibration hums through your cane, different from the gentle tapping of water, quick and deliberate, a signal threading beneath your skin. The shadows pulse in rhythm, the flickering green light pulsing with newfound urgency. A whisper glides along the edge of your hearing, fragile and fleeting, coaling like smoke tangled in the silence. The word is almost there, a breath caught and released, shimmering on the verge of understanding. You straighten slowly, muscles aching with years of wear and careful restraint. Every movement weighted with quiet purpose. The air shifts again, carrying with it the faintest scent of something floral and strange, like wildflowers pressed beneath stone. Forgotten but not lost, the castle exhales a slow, ancient sigh. And the space around you seems to tighten, the walls inching closer with a growing patience. Your fingers graze the wall one last time, catching on a thin thread tangled in the moss, a delicate strand of silk, cold and trembling like a spider's fragile web. It twists slowly around your palm, a whispered tether pulling you toward an unseen truth deeper within the darkness. You hesitate, the weight of the moment settling in your chest like a stone. Heart steady, but senses sharp and alert. Then, suddenly, the floor shifts beneath you, a gentle tremor rolling through the ancient stones, hushed but alive. The air thickens around you, dense and slow, pulsing with the hidden rhythm of the castle's heart. The shadows stir, folding and unfurling like living membranes stretched between worlds, drawing you forward with patient insistence. Your cane grips tighter in your hand as you step resolutely toward the unknown. The green glow flaring once more, fierce and urgent. Shapes flicker just beyond reach, wavering silhouettes that promise answers or perhaps deeper questions. The chamber holds its breath, poised on the cusp of revelation. And then, just as your foot treads forward into the deepening dark, a soft yet unmistakable voice brushes the air. A single name, spoken low and clear, curling through the silence like a thread of smoke, vanishing into night. The darkness waits, patient, watchful, and utterly alive. You pause, just beyond the threshold, the worn stone cool beneath your palm, its tremble barely perceptible, but enough to steady your racing heart. The air here feels denser, heavier with secrets cloaked in shadow, as if the castle itself is holding its breath, waiting for you. Your cane marks a deliberate tempo against the slick floor. Tap, 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 each measured sound a fragile lifeline, threading you gently through the obscurity. Fingertips glide along the damp wall, tracing the ancient moss that weaves faint green veins through the cold stone. The texture is soft yet resilient, like a whispered memory clinging stubbornly to surfaces time tried to erase. Moisture clings to the roughness, cold and steady, as it soaks through your cloak's threadbare edges. Behind you, the faint rustle of distant leaves drifts, an echo of life beyond these constricting walls, teasing you with forgotten warmth. The narrow passage bends slowly ahead, curling like a sleeping serpent beneath a low, groaning ceiling. You bow your head cautiously, the fabric of your cloak swirling softly against stone. A chill snakes across your neck, a fleeting caress like the touch of a fragile wing, barely there, but persistent enough to stir shivers down your spine. Your cane scrapes an uneven stone. The sudden jolt runs through your palm as a reminder of every cautious step, each one an act of quiet defiance against the encroaching darkness. From somewhere far beyond this chamber, slow water drips, a muted drum in the heavy silence. Drip, drip, drip. The pace is irregular, unpredictable, yet insistently steady. Your breath matches the rhythm, slow and deliberate, rising and falling against the coarse fabric of your tunic. Inhaling the damp air, you taste the faint bitterness of moss and earth, layered over by the sharp tang of ancient stone and a lingering note like rust, metal flirting with decay. Your fingers find the familiar curvature of your biwa against your side. The old varnish is cracked and brittle beneath your touch, strings loose but still whispering with faint resonance. Carefully you pluck a single note, a fragile sound that slits quietly into the air, weaving through the chamber's heavy stillness like a lone thread of hope. The faint melody stirs the shadows, which shift subtly, as if drawn to the fragile lifeline you hold in your hands. The light ahead flickers, a pulsing glow, green and unsettling. Shadows ripple and curl, stretching like slow fingers reaching out from the depths. The faint scent you first noticed whispers again, floral and elusive, tangled with earthy dampness. It breathes gently around you, soft and inviting, yet wrapped in caution. Your heart keeps a slow beat, steady beneath layers of tension that tighten around your ribs like a thin, unyielding cord. You step forward with mindful care, feet pressing lightly against the slick stones, slick with moisture, the chill seeping through your soles, biting softly at worn skin. The corridor widens just slightly here, the stone floor uneven beneath your weight. Each curl of moss a whisper of resilience amidst the cold decay. Your fingers drift back to the wall, tracing familiar ridges and grooves. A shallow carving catches you, a pattern worn almost smooth by centuries of passing hands and forgotten stories. You linger, fingertips memorizing the eroding lines, each curve telling tales of unvoiced histories, heavy with silence. The air thickens, subtle vibrations murmuring beneath your palm where it grips the cane. The pulse here differs from the rhythmic drops of water, quicker, deliberate, as though the very castle exerts a cautious heartbeat, alive beneath layers of cold stone. The green light surges briefly, flickering against the walls in restless waves. Shadows stretch and shrink, restless phantoms playing just beyond the edge of your senses. A soft whisper trails through the chamber, delicate as silk unfurling in slow spirals. It brushes your skin, a word spoken low, almost swallowed by the thick quiet. The syllable curls around your awareness like smoke drifting toward a distant flame, fragile yet persistent. You freeze, cane planted firm as the moment hangs suspended, breath shallow but steady. Your fingers tighten their grip, anchoring you in the present as the air coils tense around you. The floor shifts, barely a tremor, but enough to ripple the world beneath your feet. The stone exhales slowly, exuding an ancient weight that presses inward from all sides. The presence lurking just beyond your gaze steps closer, quiet, patient, its breath mingling with the damp and cold. You lower yourself slowly, knees meeting the rough stone with a cautious touch. Hands skim across the floor, brushing away dust and gravel to reveal a mosaic hidden beneath time's heavy hand. Tiny tiles, worn blues and greens, faded to muted whispers, shimmer faintly beneath the slick surface. Your palm traces the uneven texture, the delicate rise and fall, like a thought suspended mid-sentence, waiting to be finished. The faint metallic scent sharpens as you inhale, a quiet promise woven through the cold damp, a hidden current that coils tightly like a secret locked deep within the stone's embrace. The greenish glow brightens again, pulsing with urgent rhythm. A chill creeps along your spine, crawling like frost across your skin. Your fingers brush against a thin thread tangled in the moss, a fragile strand of silk, cold and trembling, as though alive with its own quiet will. It loops loosely around your hand, pulling gently, weaving a subtle tether into the shadowed depths ahead. You hesitate. The weight of this moment rests heavily in your chest. Slow steadiness keeping panic at bay. Then, soft as a sigh, the whisper comes again, stronger this time, spoken close enough for your ears alone. A name, low and resonant, curling through the still air, like smoke rising from a forgotten flame. The chamber seems to hold its breath in that instant, waiting, poised between the heavy quiet and the promise of revelation. You straighten, muscles aching with age and exhaustion, the cool stone grounding every movement. Your cane taps once more, slow and resolute on the cold floor. The green light surges sharply before settling, shadows expanding in living swirls, beckoning you forward into what lies just beyond the edge of sight. with a final breath drawn deep into your lungs, you step toward the darkness once more, drawn onward by a presence felt but never seen, and the fragile thread tightens, pulling you deeper into the waiting unknown. You step forward into the deepening shadow with deliberate calm. Your cane taps steadily on the ancient stones, its steady rhythm a quiet companion in the cavernous stillness. The faint greenish glow flickers once more, then softens into a gentle pulse, like the breathing of the castle itself, patient, measured, and full of secrets laid bare at last. Your hand slides along the damp wall, tracing the familiar moss veins threading through the stone. The fragile silk thread wraps loosely around your fingers, guiding you with an unspoken invitation. The air holds the mingled scents of earth and faint wild blossoms, a quiet reminder that even within these cold walls, life endures, soft, persistent, and patient. As you follow the delicate tether, the corridor widens into a low-ceilinged chamber, ancient and vast, its stones slick with the slow passage of time. The faint shimmer of the mosaic beneath your knees greets you once again. Blossoms of blue and green, muted by centuries, yet still whispering stories beneath your touch. The faint metallic tang in the air sharpens ever so slightly, no longer a threat, but a trace of memory, echoes of what was once lost and now being found. You lower yourself gently, hands pressing into the cold floor as your fingers scan a worn inscription carved faintly into the stone. It tells of patience and endurance, carried here by unknown hands long vanished. Words folded quietly beneath the moss and shadows. Your breath mingles with the silence, slow and steady, as if the chamber itself exhales in relief. A subtle vibration pulses beneath your cane, soft yet deliberate, synchronized now with the gentle beat of your heart. The green glow brightens, illuminating figures coiled in shadow. Not threats, but echoes, guardians of stories. They stir with the melody you coax from your biwa, each note threading light through the stillness. The fragile harmony wraps the space in a fragile tether of connection. A final verse to the song begun so long ago. The silk thread slips from your hand as you rise, the path laid bare by a quiet certainty. The chamber's air softens, the pressing chill dissipating as the walls breathe open, revealing an archway cloaked no longer in mystery, but in the warm hush of resolution. You step through slowly, muscles aching not from weariness, but from release. Beyond the threshold, you find the hidden garden whispered of in the faintest breeze, a secret blossom nestled just beyond the castle's cold grasp. The air here is different, alive with the scent of damp earth rising into delicate floral notes. Sunlight filtering softly through ancient boughs that sway in quiet rhythm. Moss cushions the ground beneath your feet, plush and welcoming, a stark contrast to the stone corridors behind. The space hums gently with life's promise. You lean heavily on your cane, the weight still present, but now steadied by peace. Your fingers brush the petals of wildflowers, their softness a balm to years of solitude and unanswered questions. In this quiet enclave, time feels both unhurried and complete, folding past and present into a moment suspended. The memories that once clung tight begin to unravel, like threads in a tapestry found at journey's end. Each note plucked on your biwa now resonates with closure, a lullaby for shadows laid to rest. The melodies mingle with the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of birds awakening in the light. Around you, the castle casts no more looming shadows, only the soft embrace of twilight wrapping the garden in peaceful hues. You close your eyes, letting the warmth settle deep into your bones. The icy grip of fear and loneliness gently loosens, replaced by the quiet understanding of survival, of endurance and eventual release. Your breath slows, rising and falling with the gentle pulse of the garden's breath. You find yourself cradled in a timeless moment, a sanctuary born from stones and silence, moistened earth and music. As your fingers loosely rest on your biwa, your last thought is an invitation to rest. The silence is no longer heavy, but soothing, like a velvet cloak drawn gently around the soul. And with the soft, steady cadence of your cane's final tap fading into the air, the story folds quietly closed, leaving you in the perfect stillness of night's embrace, ready at last to drift away on the tender lullaby of the past made peace. The castle breathes one last time beside you, patient and serene, a sentinel, cradling its secrets beneath the whispering stars.